All right, well, let's go ahead and kick things off. So this class is titled Marketing for Heart-Centered Coaches Without the Ick Factor, which I put in parentheses. I don't really know what it is, but you know how it feels. You know how it feels. Stephanie in the chat box just said, without feeling gross, right? So there's that element of, ooh, can I stay in alignment? Where's my congruency with marketing? Do I even like marketing? Do I even like the roots of where marketing comes from? And how am I supposed to implement that in something that, I don't know about you all, but in my business doesn't always feel aligned. I would much rather just do the work than have to sell the work. So how can we market ourselves, market our work, share our work, which is ultimately what we're doing, in a way that feels good to us, and in particular, in the year to come. So in today's community class, we're going to cover a few things specifically. We'll explore why I think many heart center coaches, myself included, have tended toward shying away from marketing or doing it when we absolutely have to. Like we can't hold things back, or we know if we don't start talking about what we do, no one's ever going to show up. We'll learn how to identify the marketing tools that resonate with you the most. I want to give you permission to put down the things that just aren't for you, and even challenge some of the mythology or the beliefs in there that we have to be doing all of the marketing all of the time, regardless of how it feels in our body. I don't think that's true, and I don't think we have to subscribe to that. Hopefully, we'll share why and understand that not all marketing avenues are suited for you or to your unique strengths or to your gifts or your talents or your skills or your joy, and that's perfectly fine. You're allowed to question avenues that really are not built for you or you don't feel built for. And let's dial back or reduce the ick factor in your marketing efforts, allowing you hopefully to maintain alignment with your values and authenticity in your business this year. Maybe just this season. Maybe we just start with the next 3 months, right? We're already about a month, little over a month into the winter season. So maybe we just play with this through the spring equinox and we give ourselves more bookend amount of time to try some things on and see how it goes. Let's start by looking at why so many of us shy away from marketing. This is not an all-encompassing list. There's more where this comes from, and I'm going to open the chat box and ask for some more as well. But here are some things that I think we think marketing is or marketing looks like. I think we think it's daily posting across multiple media platforms, whatever is the media platform du jour of the moment. I think we think it's constant promotion of ourselves and our offerings. I think we think it's selling people things regardless of their needs or wants. Maybe we think it's weekly or more emails to a substantial list of subscribers. And substantial, to you might be 1,000, to you it might be 100,000, but we all have a number in our mind that we think, gosh, I don't have X number of people in my community or my list, therefore I don't have enough people to market to. We might think it's growing our quote unquote followers. We might think it's exposing pain points or being loud or highly visible. So when you think about the marketing that you don't enjoy, that doesn't feel aligned, there's all the tools out there, but think about a tool that for whatever reason has been difficult for you to pick up. And maybe you've made that about yourself. You've thought, I'm just not built for it, or what's wrong with me? Why can't I figure this out? What don't I want to figure this out? Or you've been able to acknowledge, that's just not something I really want to participate in. I'm curious what some of those marketing channels are. So if you want to share in the chat box, what are some things you think marketing looks like based on what we see out there in popular culture, I should say dominant culture, that you're not so into? I see Stephanie here said IG Reels. No, thank you. I'm curious what else. Yeah, thanks, Shauna. No, thank you, TikTok. I still don't even get what it is. Maybe that's because I'm not the right generation for it. Yeah, so I don't want to sign up for it. It feels dangerous. I feel like I would just look at it all day. I don't even know if I'd have anything to contribute to it. Yeah, great. What else? Anything else we think marketing is that, ooh, it's got us turning away a little bit? And it may be a tool, it may be just something we've come up with. We think it's this. Yeah, thanks, Stephanie, reiterating. I feel like I need to be on all things, all the platforms. Thanks, Shauna, for naming that newsletters. It feels like too much work. I've been hearing this, that the newsletter may not be our jam, or if it is, how do we do it in a way that doesn't feel like we're constantly churning out more information? And what if that information isn't even getting picked up or used or utilized or used as a resource? So here are some things that I think that it feels like. I think that when we do marketing that we don't enjoy, here's what might be going on behind the scenes. It could be draining on our time and our energy. And I think often at times anxiety producing, especially in spaces where the marketing requires us to show up in a certain way, project a certain lifestyle, demonstrate a certain skill or know-how, look perfect, feel perfect, demonstrate success. I feel like that can be so anxiety producing. I think it can feel pushy. I think sometimes our marketing, I think we think it's going to be pushy. It feels pushy. It feels salesy. It feels like we're jumping the gun. I think it can feel extractive of others' resources, especially if we're selling people things regardless of what they may actually need or want. Maybe it feels excessive. Maybe we feel like we're overdoing it and we don't even feel connected to it or embodying of it any longer. Maybe it feels attached to how we appear to others. I know for myself, one of my decisions in coming off of social media, it's been 3 going on 4 years now, was my constant obsession with how I was coming across, which how can we turn that off on social media? But for myself, it was having a pretty adverse effect with my mental health. I think it can feel out of integrity with the ethics of coaching. One of my favorite tenets of coaching is that we maintain that our clients are at choice, that our clients are getting access to more options within themselves, within their resources, within their awareness, that our client is the expert in their own life. It's one of my favorite parts of this process. And a lot of marketing is designed to turn that off. A lot of marketing is designed to hijack someone's critical thinking skills and bypass their needs so that we can implant what we want them to purchase. I'm not saying you all are doing that or even I'm doing that, but the roots of marketing, the roots of advertising are rooted in the desire to turn off your ability to think for yourself. And that is the antithesis of coaching. So how do we market something that's about choice while maintaining our clients at choice? It's a question I have. It's a question I'm constantly engaging with in my own marketing, and I hope we can address a little bit of that today. And last, I think it feels like we can't just be ourselves and grow a successful business. Sometimes it feels like in order to get the thing I want, I got to show up in a way that I don't believe in. I got to just take that marketing pill, swallow it, deal with the consequences, and then hopefully I get enough of what I want on the other side. I challenge that, but I know it's a way that I have felt before as well. So let's get out. Sorry, I jumped a slide. This is what I call the ick factor. I think this is the ick factor. It's the thing we feel in the pit of our stomach when we're not feeling in alignment with how we're representing our work or how we're inviting people to experience our work, which is what marketing is. It's a demonstration of our work in advance. But when we do it from a disembodied or incongruent place, it's going to feel icky. And I want to be mindful because what makes it feel icky for you might not be what makes it feel icky for me. So this is going to be relative to you, your needs, how your system is built, your emotional sense of self, what feels good inside of your business. But we don't need to feel icky marketing our work. In fact, I think marketing can feel as good and fun and exciting as our coaching. Now you can get out your journal. So to get out your journal, we're going to take just 3 minutes here. I want you to write out the ways that marketing gives you the ick factor. We've named a few of them. not what marketing, right? But the way that marketing gives it to you. What's the thing that when you're doing it, you feel not like yourself, out of alignment with how you want to show up as a practitioner and as someone in service. So we'll just take 3 minutes here. Let's take another minute. All right, getting any final thought or item on your list? Let's take to the chat box. I'd love to hear from a couple of you. Share what are some of the ways that marketing gives you that ick factor? It could be it feels ugh, feels gross, feels out of alignment. I just don't like it. That's reason enough for me. Give it another minute in case anyone's typing. Awesome. Thanks, Shauna. I get bored doing the same thing over and over. Yeah, the redundancy factor starts to feel like this isn't novel or new, or maybe, because I know you, Shauna, I'm a creative person. I need the spontaneity. I need it to be expressive, maybe. Stephanie, yeah, timer counters create a sense of panic in me when people put them on their offers. I could not agree more. Countdown language, countdown timers on sales pages, things of that nature. I totally agree. I think they not only do they hijack our choice, they overemphasize scarcity. Now, is there a timeline? Maybe there is. Sometimes there's deadlines on things. That's fine. Have a deadline. But how we point to it and how we use that information is important. Yeah, thanks for reiterating, Shauna. Those time pressure tactics are awful. Awesome. Thanks, Stephanie. I worry I'm taking up too much space, time, energy, offering my offers again. Okay, so the curiosity around how often do I put these things out there? Am I allowed to be redundant in what I'm offering? How often do I remind people? Is it appropriate? Am I allowed? Not even just the same thing, but offering one thing multiple times. Allison, thank you. Feel salesy, out of alignment, pushy, makes me feel self-conscious, greedy, and selfish. Basically, I don't like drawing attention to myself. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for naming that, because maybe the sense is that when we're marketing our work and we are the producer of our work because we provide a service, that we become front and center, we become the marketing message. And hopefully today we can remind all of us to point back to the service we provide, the message we uphold, the goal and the dream and the aspiration we have for the work that we do, not just who we are, not to avoid who we are, because we are a part of it and people want to hear from us. But how do we invite that attention without inciting a sense of self-consciousness? Thanks for naming that. So is marketing essential to your coaching business? Yes, it is. I don't want it to be some days. I've come into a much more fun and playful relationship with marketing. I hope we can begin to crack the code for that for all of you and for those who are listening to the recording. Is marketing essential? Yes, it's essential. It's a requirement. Yes, we have to do it, but it doesn't have to be a slog and it doesn't have to feel like we're compromising ourselves or our energy regularly in order to do it. But let's look at what's so essential about it. Why am I such an advocate for it when it can elicit so much inside? Marketing can create rapport and trust over time. I think in particular, nurture marketing, the kind of marketing that nurtures a community of people, a collective where we get to share and care over time. It will create rapport and it will create trust. Everyone on the call tonight, I can't speak to those listening to the recording, but everyone here live with me, I've met before in some way, a phone call, a class, an email, maybe you're a client of mine. So this is a great example. People come back when they feel like they can. Marketing can give future clients some assurance about how you will show up consistently. I think that word there is consistent. Don't confuse consistent with daily or regularly or all of the time, just with enough repeated pattern that we can rely on you for something. Doesn't have to be everything, but something. Marketing can allow people to cozy up to your work on their own timetable. That's my favorite one. It allows people to cozy up to our work when it feels right and is right and suits their needs in real time. If you're visible, if we're completely invisible, that's hard to do. But if we have enough visibility in our marketing, we'll define what that is later, then people get an opportunity to get a taste for it over time when it suits them. Marketing can offer people a way to try your work risk-free. There's two kinds of marketing that we'll look at this evening, generative and nurture marketing. And both of them should be risk-free, especially generative marketing, the kind of marketing that is intended to create money, marketing that is specifically geared at our community to invite them into a clear offering. Can people try that out for free, risk-free? And marketing can feel as genuine and as helpful as your coaching. And I think if you love how you market, if you feel like it is an extension of your coaching, it's hard not to do it. That's been the flip for me. When marketing started to feel like my coaching and that line got blurred in a good way, it made it a heck of a lot easier to do on a regular basis. So how can you identify the tools that resonate with you? How do we discern through all of the noise? There's a lot of noise. There's so much opportunity for marketing today. There's so many channels for marketing today, which is kind of wild to me. It just keeps on expanding. So with all that available opportunity for how we're going to share our work, how do we know which tools are going to resonate? How do we know which tools are really going to work for us? And how do we name the tools that we're willing to engage with long enough that it allows people to pay attention to what we're doing? Because we can't do a one and done. One and done never does anything, not for you and not for your community. So let's give it a little definition. What is marketing really? I define it as a tool or a vessel that you utilize to deliver your message and invite potential clients to work with you who are already within your sphere of influence. And I'll pause here in case anyone's writing this definition down. I just want to reiterate a couple parts here. It's a tool. First and foremost, marketing is a tool. Just as in my coaching toolbox, I've got deep listening skills and questions, and I've got some transformational techniques, and I've got journal writing, and I've got meditation. I've got all these tools. It's just a tool, and it has leverage. Tools lever something. And this tool in particular leverages your ability to deliver your message and invite potential clients to work with you who were already within your sphere of influence. This is a big one. Already within your sphere. So I don't have a slide here, but I just want to point out we have 3 spheres of influence that we're in connection to all of the time. And you could even draw them as, I think, concentric circles. So a circle like a bullseye, inner circle, then another circle, then another circle. So we have these 3 circles or spheres of influence. The innermost sphere, the bullseye, those are people who you already know. I would say those are people whose email you have, at least, maybe even their phone number. So these are people that you've got connection to, you've got some kind of relationship with. It doesn't have to be an intimate relationship. This isn't just friends and family, but these are maybe peers or colleagues or people you've met over time. Then we have that middle sphere. These are the people that your inner circle knows. So they're 1, maybe 2 degrees of separation from you. But these are the people who know the people who know and like you. So it's not a hard reach. They're the people that I could reach out to my inner circle and say, who in your world, who in your inner circle should I meet? Those are now my middle sphere and maybe one day my inner sphere. Then we have the outer sphere, the outer reaches of our marketing sphere. These are people who don't know you, who haven't met you, who likely don't know someone who knows you well. And this is the sphere that most of us spend our marketing out to, or we write it for people in our outer sphere. And the problem with the outer sphere is it takes a long time for an outer sphere to become an inner sphere. And so the amount of marketing we have to do, the amount of effort, the amount of lift we have to make to get an outer sphere person to like us enough and trust us enough to warrant sharing their resources and hiring us, that's a long way to go. And so all of my marketing is geared at my inner and middle sphere, all of it. And if I happen to capture the attention of someone in an outer sphere, it's a happy accident, but it's not my aim. It's not what I gear my marketing toward. So Shauna just said, so you're not considering people outside sphere of influence, mail lists that you buy. I'm curious about this question about mail lists. Are you inferring that I buy a list? I want you to clarify so I can answer.
Yeah, I know I put the comment in before you gave the explanation.
Okay.
Yeah. So I know that's a lot less work to work with the people that are in the inner 2 rings for sure.
Yeah, a lot less work. And I think far more satisfactory, at least it has been for me. It feels more fulfilling because there's already rapport, which just makes what they come into more enriching. Whatever marketing I'm inviting them into is just more fulfilling for everybody because I don't have to do the heavy lift of getting to know them. Okay, let's keep going. So a few little reminders here. Let's remember that not all marketing tools are built for you, and you're not built for all marketing tools, and discernment is critical. And don't be afraid to audit your tools maybe annually. Sometimes something isn't a good fit, and then a year from now, we can't get enough of it. I've not ever thought I would produce a podcast because there are a million podcasts, and there's some incredible podcasts and some that I reference and I use, and they're phenomenal tools. And I'm so grateful for all the production out there. And it's finally coming to the surface. I kind of want a podcast. It's starting to circulate in myself. I'm getting the ideas. I'm feeling really clear. I'm starting to invest in production and hire an editor. And it's like the ball is rolling. That's a marketing tool that a year ago, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, so off the table for me. So it's okay to also edit your tools. Second bullet point here, if you are unclear about the purpose of your marketing, it will not translate clearly. all marketing needs to have intention. And while you may think, isn't the intention always buy my shit? I mean, there is a little bit of that, come buy my stuff, but there's got to be more to it than that. You know, we can use marketing to inform and to educate. We can use it to resource. We can give it, we can use it as a tool for support. There's so many other uses for marketing than just selling. And if we only use marketing to sell, we're training our community that we only use our marketing to sell. And that is a bit of a turnoff. Third point here, marketing yourself as a coach is about communicating understanding more than communicating solutions or how hireable you are. Most of the marketing we're putting out, most of the copy or the marketing messaging we're putting out is trying to sell people on us. People don't need to be sold on you. They need to know you and like you enough that they're paying attention, but they don't need to be sold on you. They need to be sold that the solution you have, not even that, that you understand the need they have. They need to know that how you show up, that you are demonstrating you have an understanding of what they're going through. But most of us are marketing that we're great, or we're a coach. We have some tools, we have some skills, we have some processes. It's like trying to sell someone on their dream home by selling them a hammer. Not going to translate. It's not the same thing. So this one trips people up sometimes, this bullet point. So I just want to reiterate, we're not trying to market people about us. We're not trying to sell ourselves. We're trying to impress on other people that are in our sphere of influence who we genuinely want to be in service to, that we have solutions for, that we understand. We want to present the knowing and the feeling that we understand. Not in a, I've been where you've been, or I know what you know, not in that way, but in an empathetic, compassionate container sort of way. Your future clients need to be able to see themselves in your work. And all of your marketing needs to be that mirror. Not back to yourself, but to themselves. And the last point here, you already have gifts, skills, and talents that you're not applying enough to your marketing. I guarantee it. You likely have a whole untapped reservoir of skills and gifts and talents that are not being applied enough to your marketing efforts. So before we go forth, this is a good place to take a quick little pause. I want to check in. Any questions or insights or ahas so far with the content?
I think, Andrew, there's some freedom actually, and if the marketing is not there trying to prove how good we are and all that kind of thing, it actually takes some of the pressure off. In some ways, it's like taking the light and putting them, shining it back on the clients or potential clients. So
Yeah.
that actually feels good for my nervous system.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, and like I said, it's not, we don't get to be completely left out of the equation because we're not selling some widget we made. We're selling something that's going to come through us. It's going to come through our body and our model of the world. But for what purpose are we putting all of that out there, and to point back to that as much as possible? Thanks, Shauna. Okay, I'm just gonna wait one more moment in case anyone has a question here or an aha they want to share in the chat box. All right, let's keep going. And if anything comes up, please feel free to pop it in there. So in your journal or on your paper, we're going to do a little ranking from 1 to 10, and we're going to go through 2 columns here: nurture marketing and generative marketing, which I'm going to give some definition to in a moment. And you're going to rank, I only have 6 things here, and there are so many more tools. Remember, I said there's an infinite number of marketing tools you could pick up. So feel free to add to these lists for yourself. You're going to rank it towards the one side of the spectrum. If this thing is hard to do for you and requires a lot of energy, more energy than you really want to give. And then we'll rank it closer to a 10 if it's easy to do or it's exciting to learn. Because, podcasting for me today is not easy, but I have a lot of energy around it. I have a lot of excitement about it. And that makes it an easier lift. So it could be easy to do or exciting to learn and requires minimal energy. So on the left column, we have nurture marketing. Nurture marketing is the kind of marketing we're doing that nurtures a community of people. These are a few examples: social media, podcasts, email newsletters. I would also add, because it's one that I model, is my online community, the Braver Coaches Collective on Mighty Networks. That's nurture marketing. And nurture marketing is a space where we are sharing, I said earlier, resources, support, education, teachable moments. This class is nurture marketing. And it's not running every day, but it is sort of dripping into your community with some consistency and reliability. We're nurturing those relationships. We're tending to them over time. Compare that with our right column, generative marketing. Generative marketing generates clients or students or enrollments, however you want to name it. And a few examples here: coaching projects, referral partnerships, direct invitations. I have a group coming up in February called the Coaching Catalyst, and it's a free 4-week group for women coaches, and it is a generative marketing tool. One of the aims of that is to give people direct access and insight into the mentorship so that they can make a more informed decision about working with me. But it's generative. It has a start date and a stop date. It has a clear invitation, and there's something that we're leading people to potentially. Different than my dripping articles into the community every couple of weeks. That's nurture marketing. So take a moment here, rank these items, add anything else you want to the 2 columns. Like I said, this isn't all there is, and just get some information for yourself. We'll just take a minute here. All right, I want to see in the chat box, share with me anything for you that's a 5 and below. What are your 5s and belows? There may be more than one thing, but anything below a 5. Awesome. Newsletters, podcast projects so far. Thanks, Shauna. Direct invite, social media, Facebook Live. Yeah, no one's mentioned that one yet. Thank you. Yeah, anything else below a 5? And this is a great opportunity, and maybe you've already put these dots together, but then we get to look at our marketing efforts in the last 90 days. How much of my energy and attention has gone to things that are below a 5? And it's either I've actually been trying to do this thing, or I've been spending a lot of time thinking about how I should do this thing. That's an energy suck. It's an energy vampire. Okay, anything above a 5? What are your north of 5? Maybe even those 8s, those 9s, any 10s, things that you really enjoy that have a lot of energy around them. And again, you may name something that we haven't put on the list yet. Shauna, yeah, live classes, awesome. And so if I were working with Shauna, I would be able to ask her, pull out your calendar, how many live classes are in the calendar on the books for the next 90 days? Like, we can correlate. It's such an easy lift, but sometimes we forget, oh, the things I like, how often am I getting that? What's the dose for me where the joy is really lit up? Is it once a month, once a week, once a day? You get to challenge all of that. Thanks, Sam. Projects, newsletter. Yeah, see, someone's 1 is someone's 10, or someone's 4 is someone's 6. And so it's all relative to you, which is why I will never tell you, you have to do this and never do that, because who would I to be to say that? All I know is what works well for me may not work well for you, and there's nothing wrong with that. Thanks, Stephanie. Writing my newsletter, have enjoyed the coaching projects, although it's tiring. Yeah, it can be tiring, and curious about podcasts for a distant future. Yeah, you sound like me a few years ago. That's out there somewhere in the horizon, just not quite yet, but it's got my attention, and that's something to pay attention to. So in other words, we're just following the energy. Follow the energy. You know enough about what's available to you to discern what you really want to pay attention to and where you want to spend your time. Because it isn't just facilitating the marketing tool, it's also learning about it. There's a lot of learning. There's a huge learning curve in marketing. You take any one of those, I take the podcast, for example. The learning curve is why I haven't done it, because there is a laundry list of things that have to happen. But if we have the energy for it, we're not just excited about the output of it, we're excited about the facilitation behind the scenes. Most marketing is going on behind the scenes because it takes a lot of preparation. So follow the energy. What has some joy around it and some excitement around it? And I encourage you to expand that list. I'll go back here for a second. I would really, this came from a class I teach my mentorship where it is more robust. So I would go through each list. There's so many more things we could add to each side. You could have this list out on your desk for a week and just keep adding things until you get a really clear picture, a really clear landscape of what your options are for the next few months. So a quick journal reflection. Based on this quick audit, what marketing tools can you let go of? Can you put anything down? And what do you need to cultivate more intentionally? And I think we just named it, but I just want to offer this question in case it's of help to you. Based on this audit, what marketing tools can you let go of? And yes, you're allowed to let them go. Now remember, marketing is essential, so we can't let everything go. But can I put down the 2s and the 1s and the 4s? And can I dial up the 7s and the 8s and the 9s and the 10s? Dialing up meaning frequency, intentionality, specificity. Can I dial up how often I do this thing, how clear I am about what its purpose is, and how clear I am to others what they can come to know from me in this marketing tool? And maybe you just make a quick note here. You might even find you have to challenge some beliefs around some marketing. You might have to challenge a belief that you have to have social media, you have to have a newsletter, you have to blog or write articles. Part of this work might be interrupting conditioned patterns of thinking around business. All right, let's keep going. So how can we reduce the ick factor in our efforts this year? How can we dial that back? How can we make it a little bit more in our corner this year? Yeah, and I just want to comment to Shauna's question really quick. Well, your reflection, she said, I keep thinking a newsletter is a minimum requirement. I hear you. I do. I hear you. And there is some data, right? Statistically, email newsletters still get the highest open and conversion rate of any marketing out there today. It still has great performance. And if that's something you want to glean or benefit from, we can find a way to work it into your life, but there's other tools that have benefit too. And maybe the email newsletter is only to invite people to your classes. Maybe it's not a newsletter. Maybe it's a monthly invitation to that month's classes people can register for. Maybe it's an announcement letter or a love letter. My Brave Makers for almost 4 years was just a inspiration. It wasn't even an article. So don't be afraid to get creative with it or toss it out the window altogether and find a different channel. So something I want to really hone in on here. Your impact won't be measured by the number of people you reach, but by the number of people you serve. I think we can get lost in the metrics of marketing. So I want to be clear, if this is a permission slip you need, take it. Your impact won't be measured just by the number of people you reach, but by the number of people you serve. And I think marketing can serve people, but it's not going to serve everyone all of the time from all parts of the globe. It's probably going to serve a smaller number of people in a specific way, in a specific time frame that hopefully you really enjoy tending to. Marketing is just one additional way you get to serve. How would it feel if your marketing was just as full of intentional service as your coaching or whatever other modality you practice? What if it felt no different? So this is a takeaway reflection. We won't spend time on here. I'll let you take it home with you. How do you want those you are dedicated to serving to feel when they interact with your marketing? And I'm going to put this in the chat box. You can copy it for yourself. How do you want those you are dedicated to serving to feel when they interact with your marketing? I want my community to feel encouraged, informed, and capable. Encouraged, informed, and capable. And that is a directive. Not all marketing is going to do that. I don't think social media in my world is going to be, it could be informative. I don't know that's going to make you feel capable. It's too small a lift, right? So how can you get your values met in your marketing? That's what this question's asking. As a wrap-up point, let's look at some common myths we must disrupt in service-based marketing that I hope will speak to anything that you've thought or wondered or questioned or been challenged by or feel challenged by even right now in this moment. Number one, the myth that if you give away your best work for free, no one will hire you. I think this is a myth. I think generative and nurture marketing, in particular nurture marketing, I know it's the only way that my business grew. The more I give, the more people show up. And we can't give away just anything. There has to be reason behind what we're giving. There needs to be clarity behind what we're giving. But make no mistake, when you give or you are generous with your service, people are more likely to cozy up to you. Especially when we're talking about, all of us do work that invites people to come and share their most vulnerable parts of self with us and to pay us for that. And another myth we're going to look at here is that coaching just isn't established enough as a modality to do that lift on its own. So we have to participate in that. We have to help inform and educate and put coaching on the map in the way that we want it to be expressed and seen and picked up. And in order to do that, we got to give our work an opportunity to travel around the world and do its magic. And sometimes that means giving a lot. The second myth, you have to be marketing all of the time and won't have the energy to sustain it. You do need to be marketing consistently. And it depends on your tool, depends on your marketing vessel, right? My community, my online community, last year we started with, 5 publications a week. People weren't, and they don't want to digest that. That's so much to take in. Even though it's a free community, it kind of operates like a media platform. I wasn't seeing a lot of engagement. We dialed it way back to 1 article a week and then one other little thing. It could be an announcement, a prompt, a quote, a book giveaway, and my engagement went up a couple 100%. So we don't have to be marketing all the time, but we do need to be dropping things into our community with some consistency. I'd rather you start slow and ramp up than do what I did, which is throw a bunch of stuff at the wall and see what sticks. I don't regret that because we got to try things on, but it's good to pay attention to the trends, not the marketing trends, what your community is or isn't paying attention to. The third myth, which I touched on for a second, if your coaching is good enough, you won't have to market yourself. Oh, I wish I wish, because I think some of the best coaches I have ever witnessed coaching, either been coached by or been privy to their work, are some of the lesser known coaches in the world, either by choice or by circumstance. If your coaching is good enough, your coaching should be good. Your coaching should be good, period. People still don't know who you are, period. Having great coaching is a start because it invites referrals and it invites people to talk about their experience. You are going to get word of mouth clients. It's inevitable when your coaching speaks for itself, but it's not the only marketing tool, and it won't do likely for any one of us enough of the marketing lift that we need it to do to grow our businesses in the way that we want to grow them. The other myth is that coaching is too complex or intangible to market because no one gets it. I think coaching is going through a little bit of an identity crisis. I think we have a few different camps that have set up shop, and made a declaration. This is coaching. And I'm not going to argue the ethics of how we present our work tonight, but I will encourage that if we do not begin to inform and educate and share what coaching is to us, how we present it, how we work with this process, I don't think people are going to get it. But it's not because it's too complex, it's because most of us are too shy to share. I hope that you're proud of the work that you do, and I hope you're proud to name what you do when asked or prompted. I hope that you're proud to put it out into the world in the ways that make sense to you. And I hope you're proud enough of the service you provide that you don't need to cover it up with fancier language or more descriptive adjectives or things that get lost in translation. This might be the last myth, yeah. That you can reserve your marketing efforts for when you need to enroll clients. So remember, this is called generative marketing, and it is part of our marketing plan, but it cannot be the only part. If we're not nurturing our community, and when I say community, I don't mean you're online, an online group or space like Vine. I think of community as a sort of invisible net that we've cast out. If you don't like the word net, think of something else. Maybe it's your home, right? This is my community. People can come into my home and they can stay a while. They can make a cup of tea. They can sit down. We can have a conversation, just metaphorically. Not everyone in your space is your client. And so if we're only marketing to sell, but we haven't nurtured any of those relationships or shared our work or given people insight into how we show up, we are going to have a hard time enrolling clients when we do need them. I like to reserve my generative marketing for once a quarter, so once every 90 days, sometimes every 6 months, and then nurture marketing fills the gaps in between. And my ratio, nurture marketing to generative marketing, it's 10 to 1. For every 10 plus nurture marketing pieces I'm sharing, that could be an article, a newsletter, soon a podcast episode, something in the community, a class, an invitation like this, 10 plus of those if I'm going to then make an invitation to my community to hire me. So your last journal reflection, I'm going to let this also be a takeaway. What belief or misconception of the ones we just covered, if challenged, would bring your marketing strategies into greater alignment with your authentic self? Are there any myths that we went over that need to be challenged that would allow you to have more congruency in your marketing? More congruency for yourself. And I'll put this in the chat box as well, for anyone who wants to take that with them. All right, we have a few minutes here. I want to open the floor for questions or just insights or takeaways. So I'll come out of the slide deck in just a moment. And I do want to share, I had mentioned it in the class. You are invited, everyone attending at least live, and then anyone who's listening to the recording, if you are a woman identifying individual who's also what you might call a heart-centered coach or practitioner, then I am hosting a 4-week free group for women called the Coaching Catalyst. And really, it's in service to fostering more accessibility to some of the business educational tools that I think so many of us are lacking early on in our work or in any type of transitional space in our work. And it is by application, just so that I can make sure and curate the right group that's going to come together. And those applications are open until January 31st. If you've already submitted an application, I have it, don't worry. I'm reviewing everything as they come in, and I'll send emails out to everyone in a couple of weeks. And I'll put a link for this in the chat box as well. Okay, I'm going to come back here into the group. My hair's not too crazy. I want to just open the floor. Any questions or reflections? Anything you're taking out that you're grateful to have learned or remembered in our class this evening? You can also share in the chat box if you prefer.
Yeah, I think the main thing I'm looking at is like I have tended to link all marketing things into blah. Well, I don't want to do it. And it's funny because I have a business degree in marketing. So I think I'm just over marketing. I've done it for so long. I just don't want to do it anymore. So,
Yeah. And you've done it for companies that you didn't believe
yeah.
in, you know, or
So,
that screwed you
yeah. Or
over.
no,
So
I've
to
always
be
worked for
fair.
companies I believed in, but so I think I've just got to figure out like where is like my word of the year is pleasure, and like where is there pleasure in this? Like, you know, if something has a creative angle to it, I'm going to enjoy doing it. I'm going to enjoy creating it. I'm going to enjoy delivering it.
Yeah.
So I think just everything I do has to have like a creative bent to it, because then I can get behind it.
Yeah.
But just like the thought of like bashing out, I know for some people they love doing newsletters, but unless it's got a creative bent, like I do not want to do it because clearly I haven't been doing it. So I think
Yeah.
it's just a good reminder, like go towards where that energy is, where the joy is, where the pleasure is.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, Shauna. I'm glad you're making that connection. Sometimes it's so obvious, but not, you know, simple, but not. And how much energy that we're wasting trying to make something fit that it just isn't for us. Yeah, awesome. Thank you. Okay, any other shares or questions before we wrap up this evening?
Yeah, I can share. I really liked the point you made about the marketing piece being an extension of what we're offering to others. I think that's really powerful to remember because there is so much noise, you know, we're all surrounded by bad marketing all the time. And um, I feel just like the congruence of having that check-in, like, is this in line with what I want to offer people in the containers that they're paying me for? And that just feels so simple, but really profound. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. Yeah, cool. Like I said, it was it was a pivot for me, as simple and as obvious again as it might have sounded, but you know, I hadn't made that connection because that wasn't how I was seeing marketing done. So who was I to think it could feel that good or be that generous? Awesome. Thanks, Stephanie. All right. Any other final thoughts or takeaways anyone wants to share from tonight's content? Okay. Thank you all for joining me. For those who could be with me live, I'm grateful that you're here. It's more engaging for me because I could easily record this without anyone in the room, but it's never as much fun. So I love getting to see your faces and hear your questions and get just to be in community. It's one of the ways that I feel like I get to get back. So thank you for joining me. And I will upload this recording right away. You'll get an email in a couple of hours with a link to it. It'll be available for a week. And I can't wait to see how you'll implement this over the year. All right, y'all, take care. You're welcome. Thank you for being here. Be
Thank
well.
you.
Good night.
Yeah.